Good morning, everyone. How we doing? Happy Thursday, October 2nd, second day into quarter four of 2025. We have Jonathan Polanski and Nina Brennan here, co-founders of Scaling Lean, and every day we go live during our RevUp Daily, just sharing of what we're seeing in the online space, of what's working, what's not working, what we're doing with clients as we navigate the marketing space. We focus heavily on conversion-focused marketing. We have our name of our business is Scaling Lean, right? So lean teams, lean systems, and high profit margin. And I definitely want to talk a little bit today about the shift that we've seen in the market and just the lingo that we're seeing, JP. A lot of these bigger entrepreneurs that we've seen that we're doing $100,000, $250,000 months are coming out and really talking about them downsizing their business, them cutting their teams, them systematizing and automating. And I really feel like scaling lean is a movement that a lot of people are adapting and adopting with a very similar language as to what we've been stapled here with since 2022. So with that being said, JP, I want to dive into that and a little bit about what we are doing in terms of the 5-minute webinar, what we have coming up, and we'll just go from there.
Right on, Nina. Yeah, welcome to the live, everyone. Great day in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona today. Great to have you here in Tempe, Nina. Got to do some collaborations last night, play some pickleball for the first time, and man, you are a savage competitor, I'll tell you that. Freaking shut me out on my first game. Don't worry, I got her on the second, third, and fourth, though. Just saying, but anyway, just like bringing it in a little light. Let us know where you're tuning in from. But yeah, this is a great topic, Nina. We just actually got plugged into a new community. We made another investment in our business last week when we're at the live event, the Growth Hacking Live event. And I know you sent over a message in Slack yesterday to me how this creator Perry went from 85 people down to what, 5? Absolutely amazing. We've seen big names like Dan Henry and loads of different creators do the same vibe, Rabi Ababala, and it's definitely a trend that's really awesome because I believe like we are definitely on the forefront of this, right? Like we built our brand back. It launched in 2022, and it was really based around lean team, lean systems, and really only doing one platform of information, a lean offer to deliver on, and high profit margins, right? So it's pretty cool to kind of see the direction of where everything's headed with the new AI revolution that we're in. And yeah, let's hop in and kind of break that down and kind of just reflect on what that's been like over the past few years for us.
Yeah, for sure. So I definitely want to put it out there as like we had the big team. So we were growing our team very quickly. We went from 2 people on the team all the way upward of 10 people on the team. And it was chaos. We were doing everything that we were told that we needed to do in terms of hire setters, hire closers, hire virtual assistants, hire the integrator, hire the ads people, etc. And it was really fun and dandy to learn the process of like hiring, firing, and really just acting as roles like HR and training and building SOPs. It was such a crucial moment to like learn inside of business. And I will say that like if you have never managed someone or like brought people onto your team and really built the company culture, it was definitely a big learning stage, especially for someone who's never really worked at like a large corporation, right? Me coming from my background, like I worked in IT consulting very briefly, but it was like the culture wasn't there. It was kind of like you come in, you go to work, very New York City mentality, right? So I got to really learn about like company culture and communication and understanding roles and how to do that. But as we were growing, both you and I hit this point of like unalignment of like, this is not really what we set out for. We're working 80 plus hours per week in business. We are basically have built ourselves both a glorified job inside of the business that we were in. And that's really where we looked at each other. Like, we built this business for time freedom and financial freedom and leverage. And what we were building was not that. It was fun for the time, but it was not the vision of what we truly wanted. So we backtracked in 2021 and we're like, how can we build this business that's going to sustain us, sustain our lifestyle, sustain what we truly want, and help us grow both as individuals and as business owners? And that was really where the concept of scaling lean came in. We started learning really much about automation, about marketing and having your marketing sell for you rather than being that salesperson on the other end. And then as time progressed, like the AI revolution that happened, I know it's been like years now and like we're still on the forefront of it, but the systems and the technology and the opportunity in this day and age, scaling lean is never more relevant. And I love seeing these like large creators that are going through the very similar like pivot that we did back in 2022 of like unfortunately firing team, leaning out and just like scaling in a very lean manner. And these other creators are being very vulnerable and honest. Like, yeah, I was making $150,000 a month, but I was taking home like 5 to 10%. So their profit margins were like here. Where now the whole game is not like these revenue numbers and the ego marketing. It's more so, especially in the coaching space, profit and purpose. And I really love the shift that we're seeing. And I know that a lot of people were like against this AI movement, but I feel like it's bringing a lot more of like transparency, honesty, and like communication from a human to human purpose standpoint. I just went on a rant, but I'm going to pass it over to you, JB.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel my perspective is very similar, Nina. From my holistic view, and I didn't really come online fully until like the late 2021 range. I was more offline doing like automotive sales and like building teams offline, right? But when I did come on, I started like researching a lot of these big brands. The big trends of 2018, 2019, those were really built around this like 30-day money model cycle of just like book calls, get people closed, and focus on the top 1 to 3% of people that say yes to that high ticket offer. Now, as we all know, as you go into any market, that starts to saturate and people begin to like understand and identify with what's happening, right? So all the coaching businesses went to that model from what I saw, at least, Nina. And it really wasn't very personal brand heavy, right? It was more of like, we can just run ads, kind of be absent on social media in some cases, right? Like Sam barely even posted. Sam Ovens, our mentor, he barely even posted at all. And some of the other creators that we were following, right? They did some YouTubes, but it really wasn't a major lead source for their business. But when we started kind of coming on the scene in 2022, we focused a lot on personal brand and getting our faces out there in short form video on TikTok, and it did really work for us. But we were still in that like 30-day window of like get the folks in, and if they don't buy, then they kind of just drop off, and eventually they will maybe or circle back. But kind of where I'm going with this, Nina, is what we're seeing now with the lean model, the scaling lean method is, we're maximizing our entire buyer like pocket, if you will, right? So if someone comes in and they're not ready for a high ticket offer, then we offer them low ticket recurring memberships inside of our community, or even just 1-day workshops or 4-day workshops in order for them to build that like, know, and trust, which helps us maximize the amount of leads that are coming into our ecosystem, which means we don't need to have loads of leads, high pressure sales calls, and all those things that personally we're not aligned with 100%. It allows us to have a leveraged personal brand, post once a day, run some ads, build our pipeline through email marketing and through our community and school. And it really just takes a lot of pressure off, right? Because we've built this revenue floor at the bottom of our business that we don't go into every month having to go out and hunt people down, if you will, inside of the model that we're personally dealing with, right? And we have a lean software stack where, it costs less than $250 a month, where all our funnels are hosted. You can put a course in there. Ours is in school, but we have many clients that do. All of our, emails and all that stuff is all contained in that one software, which makes it nice as well. Where we went down the rabbit hole early on, where we had like all these different softwares, right? And that was like the typical trend back then as well, right? Because it just wasn't as easy back then because there was like a couple big hitters that you kind of had to loop everything together. So yeah, that's like my perspective on what happened there as well. And it's just awesome to see how it all did kind of come in, and we did see the future the right way, I guess you'd say, or just it was aligned with like what we believe in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's two things that you said that just like totally resonates with not only us, but the kind of clientele that we work with. Is number one, old school marketing. I think that emails will always be like the reigning king of marketing. And obviously paid advertising, like social media platforms, you kind of see them come and go. Like TikTok was huge during COVID. I mean, it's still big inside of the UGC space, but not really for the coaching space. And you had Lemon8 pop up and then it went away. You had Vine come and then it was bought out. Like there's so many things that are like fast paced, moving in and out of the market. Threads was like super popular and then it kind of died out. And then you have your staples like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. And like, it doesn't matter what platform you're on, nothing is really guaranteed. So owning traffic will always be your end all be all of like best case scenario for selling, in my personal opinion. And then secondly is like what we have, instead of just having emails go out, is putting people will get our emails on a daily basis, but putting people inside of a community hub. So there's also that social proof and validation of like, okay, they're coming into a community, they see, they know, they like, they trust you, they see the results that are going on. And that community aspect has been such a game changer. Like we've always been, since 2020 or even 2019, I think I launched my first online community. Before I even had like a real business. I was just building the consciousness collective online and like gathering people of like minds. And it just goes to show, even when you don't have something to sell, like people want a place of belonging. People want a place to go to voice their opinion, to learn, to be accepted and seen, especially after COVID. I hate saying that word because I feel like it's going to block our stuff on social media. But it's like after COVID, because we were in such lockdown, people sought out online communities. And that's like really what exploded. And that's what's been happening for our businesses and the clients that we're working with is people are building communities. They're obviously getting the emails on the back end too, but the community is like that centralized hub to like build your authority, build the trust, really deliver to your clients or even just your prospects in a free manner. And then the more you give, the bigger you can ask, as Hormozy would say. And I really love that because it's been such a staple inside of our marketing process, and it's been helping us scale lean because the community hub and emails just does a lot of the heavy lifting for us.
Absolutely, 100%. So now let's segue a bit into kind of like what we uncovered and what we've seen develop over the years with just video content as well, particularly like in the buyer's journey, right? Because I feel like we definitely learned from the early adapters that it takes time for someone to make a buying decision, and it's even more important if your brand's coming online, because you don't have that human to human connection, right? So we can still develop that, and I feel for me, Nina, and definitely reflect here, I feel like some of the business owners that I speak to in person that really don't have a big online presence, I feel like they get that like weird feeling sometimes of like everything online is manipulative and a scam, which really isn't the case. It's all about the way you build your brand and the way you build your business model, right? And I know we all are taught these like 30-day money model cycles, right, to get the cash in and get it back, so we can scale effectively and really aggressively, right? But it doesn't have to be that way is what I'm trying to say. So let's uncover a little bit of the mindset and methodologies of what we've really developed here with just short style videos in general, and like how we use those videos to build like know and trust in our conversion system.
Yeah, of course. So I just want to preface what I'm about to say is business is a marathon with seasons of sprint. And the reason I say that is because I feel like a lot of these money models that you're talking about where people are like burn and churn 30 days in and you're going to have XYZ result. It's great, but we're going more for like making sure that the buyers that are actually buying are aligned with our products and services. So there's not refunds, there's low churn, there's no really, refunds inside of our ecosystem. And the reason that is because we've built instead of you're buying or you're crying or you're buying right now, like the market has been since basically 2014, coming in, watch a VSL, then a high pressure sales call, then a close, and then you never really hear from them again. And maybe if you do, they're trying to just sell you and there's like that commission breath under it. So what we discovered is there's two ways to cater to the people during the buyer's journey that's going to resonate and put it back into the buyer's hands. Number one is attention span. So I'm sure everybody who watches this video has been on some type of webinar before where it's like 90 minutes to a pitch. And the average stat for that is only about 30% of the people that sign up show up, and only about 30% of the people that show up stay through the entire pitch process. So you're going to need a lot of volume in order to get there, right? So if you want somebody to watch, it's like pretty much a webinar, VSL, you're going to have to really have those higher numbers. That's number one, is attention span is crucial. And number two is like trust building. So people have been through all these games online between like webinars and challenges. There's only so much that you can do. So what we learned is like 5-minute webinar styles, like incremental marketing throughout the funnel, rather than just like one long webinar, is going to be the way to communicate to your buyers. And you're meeting them where they are, no matter where they are at the funnel. Oh, you're not ready for high ticket? Great. Here's a 5-minute webinar about our low ticket product, service, or community. Oh, you're ready for high ticket? Great. Here's a 5-minute webinar to book a call. Once you book a call, great. Here's a 5-minute little mini webinar of what to do next. And it's giving your buyer space time with you. So there is a stat that we love preaching here at Scaling Lean: 15 to 21 touch points in order for somebody to buy high ticket, and or 4 to 7 hours of content consumed. I'm talking about social media, reading, FaceTime, etc., sales calls, all of that. And the more that you can put your face as like the business owner and or sales representative in front of your prospects, the more likely they are to like buy, because they trust you once they get onto the phone. You're going to break beliefs. You're going to overcome the objections. You're going to already shift the mindset, and you're going to get them to buy into your product, service, and outcome. And if that's the case, and they're showing up to the call, it's pretty much a simple conversation. There's no more need for this like high pressure, like, oh, you're in or you're out, buying or crying mentality. It's just this is exactly where you are. You're exploring why they are where they are, why they want what they want as a typical sales process. And if it sounds like a good fit because they went through this journey and they were kind of like pivot into the right direction for the right offer, it makes sense to make the offer. And if not, there's other offers under your belt that you can kind of whip up and be like, you're not ready for this. Here's the secondary offer that like you would thrive in.
Absolutely. And that's really great information for someone that's potentially tuning in that's newer to the online space. But what I want to do here, Nina, is like really speak to those folks that already have an established offer and already have an established system. If you're not hopping on the wave of shorter style 5-minute videos, I highly recommend doing it, because it's just people's attention spans are lower, right? And what we found from chopping our 10, actually our 40-minute webinars down to our 20-minute VSLs and 10-minute VSLs down to 5 minutes, was it helped people move through quicker and either say yes or no. We don't like maybes here at Scaling Lean. We want a yes or a no. And if it's a no, that's completely cool. We wish you the best. And we always say, come back if and when you're ready, right? But you might be thinking like, why is your 5-minute webinar better than what I can create? I just feel like we've tested it for so long, Nina, and we have a very strategic way of showing social proof, the how, what, and why of what we do, that really makes people have those epiphany moments of like, yes, it's time to work with these folks, or no, it's not for me. Again, either way, it's amazing, right? Because we don't get on calls with folks and or even make offers to folks that aren't really qualified for what we do, right? So we have them strategically built for top of funnel, for attraction, for middle of funnel, for awareness and building the brand and understanding of who we are. And then we also have them for making an offer directly through even like an offer doc explanation and or just a short VSL to close the deal, right? Whether that's on a low ticket offer, a high ticket offer, we've developed an entire system over the years. And just wanted to give that little depth of clarity there, Nina, for the folks that are watching this that are a little further along, because I feel that it can be easy to be like, oh, I can create a 5-minute webinar. But it does take like a certain framework and skill that we've been on the journey in developing over quite some time, right?
I will say this too. I remember looking back in 2021 is really when the first round of business took off, right? And I remember sitting down and writing out a 25 to 40-minute webinar, depending on who was presenting it at the time. And the flow was just broken. And especially as like newer business owners who aren't like really good at copywriting, which back then I was like really newer at copywriting, it was a lot harder to create such a long process of VSL style than these 5-minute webinars that A, they have like a process, and B, you're just trying to get one point across at one time. Whereas with the VSL that was like elongated, or a webinar that was elongated, you have to go through like the entire buyer process and emotional journey and hero's journey and storytelling. And then it's like, once you get here, it's like exhausting for both you and the audience. And I'm sure like you've done a presentation before in webinar style, and so have I. Like the energy drops, especially it's like, unless you're really seasoned and conditioned to it, it's like the energy drops when people start dropping off. And you're like, oh my God, like what is going on? If you don't know the numbers. And I remember that happening to me in the very beginning, where I was like doing a live webinar and I was like, is it me? Am I the problem? Obviously blaming myself, not knowing the stats, but it was just such a long presentation that I was like, there were so many little intricacies that you had to get into, whereas these 5-minute webinars are just so much better, because it's like power punch, boom, 5 minutes, move to the next one, power punch, boom, 5 minutes, get to the next one. And then you're sitting there, you're like, oh, they got all the information that was needed. We broke all the beliefs that were needed. They went through the emotional journey that was needed, but it was in such power punch points at the right moment at the right time, rather than an overwhelming amount of information to where it's like, oh my God, now I need to think about it, or I'm put on the spot to buy, and then the next day there's buyer remorse. That's what we're trying to beat. No buyer remorse. People are aligned. They know exactly what they're getting. They know the exact outcome. They're bought into the brand and they're ready to go.
100%. Yeah, I like that a lot, Nina. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so with that being said, I feel like we can wrap this one up here. It was a great power session here in the morning. I don't see any questions on my end on Instagram. I know you have more of the controls on your end. Do you see anything on yours?
I didn't see anything pop through on StreamYard. Let me check my profile because I knew that a couple of people were tuning in there. Nothing here on my end. But with that being said, I think we are A-okay to wrap it up. If you guys aren't yet inside of our 4 Weeks to Profit school community, it is great. I think we're just approaching 500 people, and we only launched mid-August. So it's been a really cool journey to see the growth, to see the people in there. The cohort members are still interacting and getting a ton of value. People are in the 49-day, the 28-day fast start, and people actually entered our paid community just because they love what's going on. We're not here to sell you only, like we're here to provide free value. There's a 4 Weeks to Profit playbook inside of there. So if you're looking to create, launch, and monetize info products, get over there, drop a comment under any video that you're on, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, I think we're on too. And we'll send over the link for you to get in completely free. You could download the playbook and see what we're all about here. Again, we started this entire video off of scaling lean. What we're truly about is lean teams, lean systems, high profit margin, and of course, leverage at the end of the day, financially, locationally, and time-wise. So with that being said, do you have anything to say before we wrap this up, JP?
Yeah, just what came to mind, Nina, there is when you do join the community, there is a post in there. I'm looking at it right now because we got a lot of engagement on it. We do have a bunch of the Alex Hormozi Money Models book. So, I mean, that's another added benefit of joining the community. Just pop open, just say, I want the book, and on that post when you come in, and we'll send you over a message and just get you that going. So you just pay the shipping to get it. Great book. I've read it, listened to it. It's some really good information. A lot of the things that we talked about today with different money models and kind of the way we view the world are definitely aligned. And it's just really good to understand the way to frame offers and like create a money model that works for your business, right? So that being said, yeah, I don't have anything else, Nina. We'll catch you, what is it, tomorrow? It's Friday, right? We have one more day in the week. Awesome. Yeah.
Sweet. See you guys then.